This show is sponsored by ExpressVPN. Stop putting your online data at risk. Get protected at expressvpn.com/funhaus.
Hey, Elise.
Hey, James.
Welcome to Funhaus.
Love being here. What's the topic today?
Well, as you may realize, it was only 2 short weeks ago that we started the ultimate consensus in film discussion. We were attacking the perfect film bracket. This is something that we had seen on social media where people were listing what they thought were 5 perfect films. Each of us brought some of our perfect films out. I'm just going to go ahead and introduce my guests today. We're just going to jump right in because we have a lot to get through. Mm-hmm. We have Dan Schneider.
Hi, everybody.
Back on the show. And
so
Adam
we're not allowed to sub
What?
at all, James.
No, Dan asked me about subbing in things this morning. I'm like, you can't sub things in. These movies have been training all season to get to this point. We got Adam Kovic.
Hello, I think I found a hair in my coffee.
And of course, the lovely Elise.
Thank you. This is not subjective. We are picking the most objectively perfect films, and there's been a lot of rigorous debate. A lot of feelings getting hurt. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see how this shakes out today.
Yeah. After part 1, we got through, only a few of these films.
You think Scorsese saw this?
I don't think he's on the list anywhere. Honestly.
Do you think he watched or listened to Funhaus?
Oh, absolutely. He's a huge fan. And he can't wait to get to the bottom of this. We're going to finish this today. We're finishing this episode. So we're going to get right into it.
Can I tell you what I'm most excited for?
Yeah, tell me what you're most excited for.
It's for some controversial Shane decisions. If you listen to the last episode, you'll know that our TD Shane, who's doing the beautiful camera switching, he had to weigh in at some very, very important points to be a tiebreaker for us. Now the most hated man on the internet because of his love for Moulin Rouge. Yeah. Shane.
Boo, Shane.
Wish you the best, man.
You're brave, Shane. You're braver than us.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Braver than us. Before we start, I'm just going to list what is still in the running.
Okay.
If you're just dropping in now, we recommend going back and watching the episode from 2 weeks ago. It would be the previous Funhaus, though, where we list off all the films and kind of how we set up this nonsense bracket and how we've gotten to the point so far. But for those of you who are all up to speed, I'm just going to go ahead and list off. Here's what's still in the running. Terminator 2, The Dark Knight, The Godfather Part 2, Moulin Rouge, Blade Runner, The Princess Bride, Royal Tenenbaums, Paddington 2, The Exorcist, Apocalypse Now, Aliens, and City of God. Those are the only films that remain in this list.
This all seems so trivial now that you read it back to me.
Why? What do you mean?
I was just looking again at that very first bracket of Groundhog Day versus Terminator 2, and then I thought this is us paying tribute to Harold Ramis's memory.
Aw.
He died?
That doesn't objective. You can't put your emotions involved. I'll just for the sake of things, I'll also list what's been eliminated, and then we're gonna have to jump immediately right into it because we have to get through it. All right,
go.
Groundhog Day was eliminated. The Fifth Element was eliminated. Mad Max Fury Road was eliminated. Shawshank Redemption was eliminated. Raiders of the Lost Ark was eliminated. Akira, which I will pronounce that way. Sorry, commenter who was upset about that. His name isn't Ryu. All right, let's put it that way.
Hey, Kira.
What's wrong with, hi, Kira. It's quesadilla.
RoboCop was eliminated, and Your Name, the anime that those that were familiar with, completely on board with. Those that were not didn't appreciate it being on the list. But that's the way perfect films work. This isn't our favorite film. This isn't even the best film.
We don't want to do this.
These are the perfect.
You think this brings us joy or some kind of sense of satisfaction? No, we've been tasked with doing this.
So let us continue this burden and continue right in. We're going to the East Coast now. Technically, we're going to go to the East Coast, work down this bracket. Then we're going to probably bring that down to number 2, and then we got a quarterfinals.
Let's do it.
Okay. Blade Runner versus
film.
The Princess Bride.
Easy. That's an easy one. If you guys think if you think any differently, you're wrong.
Oh, interesting.
Objectively wrong.
Bold stance. A very bold stance from Adam.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
one of those
I hope
movies.
Shane's gears are turning.
One of those movies is a dark, gritty look at what it means to be human, and the other one is Blade Runner. So like you gotta figure that out.
You're right. I agree, Adam. That's a great point. Go ahead, Adam. Go ahead, Dan.
I love Blade Runner, but the plot of that movie doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I
It's
think
noir. It's not supposed to.
it is. I mean, it's the vibe and the look and the sound and the environment of that movie is what makes it brilliant and perfect, not the story. Whereas I think The Princess Bride might be the opposite. Its visuals, I think, are a little, they're okay, but it's the story and the characters that really
The story
drive
is
that one
cheating because it's Kevin Arnold's grandfather telling the story. He can change it whenever he wants. Blade Runner is fact of what happened 4 years ago or 5 years ago. When did it take place?
It was in the
2015?
20-teens, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's like 2016 or something like that. I forget. Call Dave Peoples. Ask him.
Blade Runner has such a legacy. It has such a legacy, and I know it has a lot to do with the story, not necessarily the execution of the story, but like the initial concept and questions that the story raised.
It's based off Android's Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip K. Dick. Is that the
Loosely.
inspiration for
Loosely.
It's more so. Whereas Princess Bride is a very direct adaptation. If you read William Goldberg's Princess Bride, you will see the dialogue is lifted and it's virtually like a straight adaptation. Whereas Blade Runner, it was kind of cool because it was like, oh, this sci-fi author that I've never really seen anything. He's so famous. I've never seen anything adapted from his work. Like Ridley Scott was like, I'm gonna tap that. He became Scotty Riddles. I always have a line with Ridley Scott where I say, okay, he's making Gladiator. He's Ridley Scott. He decides to flip it.
You called him William Goldberg.
What?
I thought you called him William Goldberg, and I thought of the wrestler writing The Princess Bride.
Remember when the rodents of unusual size got speared by but anyway, but I forgot what I was saying. Oh,
I think Blade Runner established cyberpunk, essentially. Did it not? In the visual eye of
it gave it
humans?
a visual, like a moving screen, on-screen visual. I feel like cyberpunk was established in other forms, but mostly narrative or
some books,
written forms.
Yeah, and there's probably a lot of B-movie people experimenting with cyberpunk-ish worlds, whereas this was maybe the first big budget Hollywood director that was like, I'm making a cyberpunk feature.
Yeah,
I mean, the term cyberpunk had no when they made Blade Runner, it wasn't Ridley Scott going I'm going to make something cyberpunk. He was saying, this book is interesting. It's trash. I hate it, but I'm going to make it look beautiful and do my cool
Scotty
commercial
Riddles.
thing.
Yeah.
Put smoke everywhere.
He's insane. And then he got in a bunch of, I also highly recommend watching the documentary Dangerous Days, which is just the making of Blade Runner. It's fascinating.
I refuse.
I think The Princess Bride is a perfect movie, but Blade Runner, I think, has done so much more for cinema, and the fact that it was a commercial failure and has lived on, and the fact that it even got a sequel that was
Also
I don't know,
close to being a commercial failure.
It was a commercial. Well, I mean, it's so weird. It's
close.
it only made $250 million.
You have to make up the numbers.
To what you're saying, it did in fact visualize and establish a genre that's been copied a billion times since.
I agree.
To this day, it is still referenced and looked at. I mean, movies like Batman Begins basically cites Blade Runner as a huge influence for it. So it's done so much for cinema that it's I don't think you can.
I feel like it's an even more than just cinema. I feel like it's impacted culture. Blade Runner has with its look and its visuals and its sound. I think Princess Bride might have done the same thing, where it's kind of crossed over from just movies where people know what Blade Runner is from the things in Blade Runner. Just like I think I knew what The Princess Bride was from quotes that people would do before I even saw the movie. You know, the stupid priest marrying with marriage and marriage or whatever.
Well,
these are both movies that I think have crossed over from just being movies to actually impacting greater culture.
Princess Bride did for, and a lot of the same people were involved, but it did for the fairy tale storybook genre what This Is Spinal Tap did for the rockumentary genre. I mean, it's a spoof. It's really a comedy, but with heart.
Yeah, I think without Blade Runner, you wouldn't get, you wouldn't have gotten the iRobots of the world.
Would you have gotten
and
Demolition
without,
Man?
hold on, and without Princess Bride, we wouldn't have gotten Robin Hood Men in Tights, and those are the two greatest examples I could come
We
up with.
wouldn't have gotten Your Highness.
Your Highness, yeah. Which refers to not only the fact that they smoke medieval weed, but also she shows her butt. Those are the two.
I think also you can't compare another cast ensemble to Princess Bride. There's just so many heavy hitters in terms of the cast in that
Right.
movie.
I'm gonna.
I'll hit you back with Harrison Ford, Edward James Olmos, the fat guy from Blood Simple,
Rutger Hauer.
Her name's
Rutger
Sean
Hauer, and Sean Young.
I'm gonna throw this out here, and again, I'm not trying to knock these movies down, but I just, in terms of the discussion, I feel like it should be said.
Yeah.
Elise and I saw Blade Runner in theaters as shortly before Blade Runner 2049 was coming out, and they reused the shot of the blimp 3 times.
It's a good
It's
shot.
the same.
Yeah.
It's the same shot, but it's through like a skylight, and it's the same shot. And I went, "That's the same
And
shot."
I felt like
think
I
it's in there 3
spent
times.
until 2049 watching it.
Oh, wow.
It's a slow paced.
Yikes.
It's a slow burn. I mean, do you disagree? Because I would say it's a
No,
very
but
slow movie.
slow doesn't mean bad.
So doesn't mean bad.
It's ponderous. It's supposed to make you think about what's going on and
I
the
do
silences.
think it's pensive, but is it pensive to reuse the same blimp shot?
I
don't know.
I gotta stop you right there, Elise. It's time to vote. We really have to get through this list, and based off the time we've spent discussing the differences, the strengths and weaknesses of Blade Runner and Princess Bride, I have a bad feeling about this podcast.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So the way we're gonna vote is we're gonna raise our fingers. It's the only way to be fair. You're gonna raise 1 finger if you're voting for Blade Runner, 2 fingers if you're voting for the Princess Bride. Okay?
Okay.
On 3. Let's see them all. 1, 2, 3. Ooh.
Shane.
Immediately starts with a tie, which means it's immediately going to go to Shane.
Oh, come on.
It's got to go. It's the only way to be fair. Objective. This is the objective list. Shane, it's on you right from the start. A lot of pressure here. Blade Runner or Princess Bride?
I'm going to go Blade Runner.
Oh,
Thank you.
hey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Woo. Making up for his terrible calls
Man,
from last week.
you
Can you
can't-
imagine if Blade Runner won this thing? That would be a travesty.
We don't know. I mean, it's Shane. You can't. If
And
Shane
it
says
would be
Blade
all
Runner,
Shane's fault.
if Shane says Blade Runner, it's Blade Runner. It's like the only way. You know, I would say it's more fair than flipping a coin. All right, let's keep.
Real
go ahead.
quick, I forgot to say this. I did have an argument against Blade Runner. I totally forgot about the first cut of that movie. Is not very great because of the whole VO thing that Harrison Ford
yeah.
just sort of like
Yeah.
kind of put that thing in there when he's like Rutger Hauer says his beautiful speech at the end. He goes, "I don't know what he was trying to say, but I think he's a robot."
I
Well, he
respect his robot
purposely
right to
did
say
that bad so that they wouldn't use
Yeah.
it. Was
I've
the
also,
story, right?
I always reference the final cut version, which I guess works against the movie when it has multiple versions. So
wasn't
Princess
gonna
Bride is just
say-
like just the one, but
I wasn't gonna say, but that was gonna be my other big hot take on Blade Runner: is that a movie so imperfect that it requires multiple attempts. Okay, let's move on. But we're just getting started. So let's move on. But before we move on, let's hear a word from our sponsor, Hims. What's a common issue men face but don't always want to talk about? Think long and hard. That is a clue. Both of those are actually clues. The truth of the matter is that 40% of men by age 40 struggle from not being able to get and maintain an erection. Why do guys feel like they have to turn to strange, weird solutions, over-the-counter stuff, things that aren't scientifically proven to work when there is an option? And that option doesn't necessarily involve expensive pills or injections or anything crazy like that. All you have to do is check out Hims and you could discover the tiny pill that's worth a big celebration. 4hims.com is a one-stop shop for hair loss, skincare, and sexual wellness for men. Hims connects you with real licensed doctors and FDA-approved pharmaceutical products to treat any erectile dysfunction you might have. There's tons of well-known generic equivalents. I don't know how familiar you are with the prescription medicine world. God knows I'm not that familiar, but I do know that generics are an option that provide cheaper access to the exact same medication you could get from somewhere else. These generic equivalents to name brand prescriptions are going to help you combat your erectile dysfunction. This is backed by science, and it's also more affordable than basically any other option out there. Don't worry about painful treatments or having to constantly go to the doctor. Honestly, the process could not be easier. You answer some questions about your medical history and then chat with a doctor, and it's entirely confidential. If that doctor approves you, then the product is shipped directly to your door. Being your best means performing your best, and this is a cheap and convenient option to do just that. So try Hims today by starting out with a free online visit. Go to forhims.com/filmhouseed. That's forhims.com/filmhouseed. Prescription products are subject to doctor approval and require an online consultation with a physician who will determine if a prescription is appropriate. See website for full details and safety information. This could cost hundreds if you went in person to the doctor's office or pharmacy. Remember, that's forhims.com/filmhouseed. And we are back. Thank you so much, Hims, for your sponsorship. Let's keep going with that momentum that Hims has provided us. Okay, this one is gonna be brutal.
This whole bracket's tough.
The Royal Tenenbaums. A Wes Anderson masterpiece, as far as I'm concerned.
A joint.
Versus Paddington 2.
You know, if it had Paddington 1, it would have been harder. Because I do think Paddington 1's a little bit better.
Oh, that's
Really?
a false statement, but sure.
I do.
That's
I do.
that's a unique opinion. I haven't seen that opinion very much.
Wow. Whew. Here's the thing. These aren't our best. These aren't the best films. Are our favorite films, but these are also two of my favorite films that made it on the perfect
Same.
list.
Likewise, I would say Royal Tenenbaums established Wes Anderson's style. It solidified it because you had movies like Rushmore, you had Bottle Rocket. They didn't have the money or necessarily the tone down yet. But with Royal Tenenbaums, he kind of had like I think the cast he wanted, the set he wanted, and the freedom and probably the team together that he wanted to make.
He's like I got the Wilsons, I got Murray. I don't have rich people yet, and then it got the rich people, and then magic happened.
Yeah,
That's the story.
the production sounds absolutely toxic thanks to Gene Hackman. But
Just a little bit of a bulldog.
could
but
anyone else have played Royal Tenenbaums?
So was Royal.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's tough because this. Also, for those people that say Wes Anderson has gone too Wes Anderson, like he started drinking his own Kool-Aid to a certain point. I love it, but I understand people's perspective on that. This, I feel like, is before he got in. Like, Royal Tenenbaums just feels like a movie with style as opposed to buried within Wes Anderson's style and all of his themes that he constantly revisits about daddy issues, dysfunctional families, and animal abuse, like he has, but they're subtly injected into the heart of the film, as opposed to, all right, now's the point where he hits you over the head with it, right? So yeah, and then
So that was Royal Tenenbaums. Was that Wes Anderson hitting his peak and then still making movies after that, or do you think he's made better movies since
I think
then?
he's made Oscar nominated and winning films since then. So I would say that he's only continued to achieve success.
I think Isle of Dogs is fantastic.
Yeah.
I think
Fantastic
Grand
Mr.
Budapest.
Fox, Grand Budapest.
Yeah, I think there's some that I appreciate less than others, but I don't agree with people who say that this is that he hit his peak and everything else has been downhill. I always look forward to everything.
Me too.
Royal Tenenbaums is a shotgun blast that it was like, you're right, it was like Bottle Rocket, and then what was the one? Rushmore, and then it scattered, and then all of a sudden like his brain went, yes, this is what I want, because everything else, Moonrise Kingdom and Isle of Dogs and Fantastic Mr. Fox, everything and all the live action stuff, that like it all feels like it all came from Royal Tenenbaums, and it all has been. He hasn't dipped, like maybe there's a little bit, but it's like they're all really good. That's the hard thing. So and then what's the Zizou? What's the movie called? Life Aquatic.
It was Steve.
Yeah. The only
Well, it's
time
like-
he's kind of dipped out of that, felt like to me, was Darjeeling Limited. That's the only movie that I feel like he's like, all right, I'm going to kind of step away and shoot things a little bit more naturally. And
Yeah.
not like
I feel like he almost got more serious for that film too.
Yeah.
Like he was going for deeper themes and stronger emotions.
It's very dry humor. It kind of defies the Wes Anderson concept of having a really explained set. Like Wes Anderson's really, really great about making his own sets. They're very compartmentalized and they are a character unto themselves. And you would think that the train would be a little bit more of a character in that movie than it was, but it wasn't. That's a movie that I had to rewatch many, many times to really like get and start to really, really like. But now I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. It didn't give me the Wes Anderson fix, interestingly enough, when it first came out. But now I appreciate it as a film, so he can dip in and out. He just, I guess, chooses to.
Paddington.
So
2 is a film.
who's the director of Paddington 2? Who made that movie?
Oh, I always forget his name.
I always forget his name. He's a television director who did Mighty Boosh.
Yeah.
He did a lot of British comedy, British television comedy.
We saw that
and
movie,
wacky stuff.
and when we walked out of it, we don't do this often, but we turned to each other, and I said, I can't think of a single flaw that movie has, and then you were like,
I had the wavy stream of tears
Yeah.
coming out of my face because I was so filled with joy.
it just in terms of what that movie does in emotional beats and story beats, characters, the setting, the delivery of everything,
Setup, payoff.
yeah,
The
the performances.
without feeling like you need to show, like, it gets emotional reactions out of me without having to tap into things that are sad, which to me is so difficult. Like,
Tap into joy and catharsis, and empathy.
Exactly, like in good ways. It's all positive emotions. Like the closest thing you can get, which one of the things I like about Paddington 2 over Paddington 1 is that the closest thing that comes to a villain in Paddington 2 is this former actor who's just kind of running around town causing mischief, right? Whereas in Paddington 1, it's like, I want to kill the bear, like, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're tapping your fear and evil or whatever. This is just like misunderstood. And even if you watch the final scene, like the credits scene for that movie, it's still like the villain, like, still gets what he wants ultimately.
There's a bit of a reprieve on him where you're like, I'm still charmed by this villain.
Yeah.
And he finds his,
He
was kind of like a man without a purpose before, and now he's got it.
Everybody wins in that movie,
Yeah.
and it's still satisfying, and that's what I kind of love about it.
So this versus right here is one where I think it kind of epitomizes the best film versus the perfect film. I think Paddington might be a more perfect, concise, everything in its right place movie, whereas Royal Tenenbaums might be a better film that touches on more important subjects.
Hence the specificity of this bracket, Dan.
That's what I'm going.
Well,
Yeah.
should we vote?
I think in really subtle ways, Paddington hits on a lot of themes that you might not pick up on otherwise.
I mean, I think it's great. I guess the only thing I could come up with is maybe, like Dan is saying, it's not a dangerous exploration of the human condition.
I think it does explore the human condition, though,
I
a
said
lot.
dangerous.
Is Royal Tenenbaums dangerous?
Yeah, because it's dealing with dysfunctional families and daddy issues, and not everyone lives in star brights and rainbows, right? Like, and so the movie has a darkness to it, kind of like all humanity does. Paddington 2 is amazing because it washes away the darkness.
Paddington 2, I think, is an exploration in xenophobia. This little bear that is ostracized. The kind of neighborhood watch guy that targets him.
I guess there's some of that in there.
There definitely is,
I don't know.
especially in a country like England where that's like a thing. Anyway,
All right, I think we got to vote. Adam hasn't said much, but that's okay.
I'll be transparent. I've never seen the Paddingtons because you guys talk about them so much. You've hyped them to the point that they'll never live up to what you have told me they will. So.
You think that, Adam,
thanks,
but
thanks for ruining it for us, guys.
They super overhyped those Paddington movies to me too, and I finally watched them like back to back, and they are mind-blowingly good. for
So I
little
would say
kids
that
movies.
Now Dan's doing it.
I would say that
I can't
we
see these
didn't
movies.
we didn't overhype them. We accurately hyped
Yeah,
it.
I would say we
Yeah.
accurately hyped it.
Perfect hype.
All
That's
right,
what you
we
said
gotta
about
vote.
Blade Runner.
We got to vote. 1 finger for the Royal Tenenbaums, 2 fingers for Paddington 2. Perfect film. 2 of my favorite. 2 of my favorites. 2 of my favorites. All right. You guys ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. 2 and 2 again. Shade.
There's no loser in this category.
Shade.
I specifically voted for Royal Tenenbaums because I didn't think it was going to get the votes, but there's no loser in this category.
Well,
Oh my gosh.
And
there's
either winner is great.
It's Shane. Shane, I want you to first tell me what you're picking, and then afterwards I want you to tell me if you've seen both of these films. Okay. So let us know, what is it, Paddington 2 or the Royal Tenenbaums?
I have to go with Royal Tenenbaums only
Okay.
because that is the only one I've seen.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I
Shane.
thought.
Tonight,
how brackets work.
Too.
We need to do a Paddington watch
Objective.
party for Adam and Shane.
Objective. Thank you, Shane. That's super for Shane right now. Things are so heated. We got to keep moving on. We got to keep moving on fast. Okay. The Exorcist versus Apocalypse Now. Anyone care to start this discussion somewhere?
Man.
I put The Exorcist.
Well, we haven't really
Here.
talked about The Exorcist at all. We talked about Apocalypse Now a little bit last week. So
Yeah, we haven't
why
gotten to
did The
Exorcist
Exorcist qualify as a perfect film for you, Elise?
The Exorcist did for horror filmmaking what Paddington 2 did for peanut butter sandwiches.
Marmalade.
No. Marmalade. I forget what he even likes, that fucking bear. Just in terms of the cinematography techniques of this movie to implement horror in it, the practical and technical techniques they use to do all the horror stunts are amazing. When you're 13 years old and you watch The Exorcist for the first time and you see her punching that crucifix into her snatch, you don't know that there's a little like sponge box down there. You just think that's going straight snatch. What they did to people were screaming and leaving theaters and fainting watching this movie. It was so revolutionary of the time.
According
in
to the
terms of
marketing
horror.
team.
It has a very like storied production, but it also seemed like it had a pretty like technically excellent the talent that went into making this movie is pretty incredible.
And the abuse too.
And the abuse. I think it's just it has so many moments of like emotional resonance too, in terms of like the priests and just the thematic substance to it as well. I mean, if you're a religious person, or even if you're not, but you might be exploring like what faith or what doubt or what religion might mean. There's like so much to it. There's a story of a mother and daughter and losing someone you love and what that might mean. Like there's
I think something else that's amazing about it is how spatially, like so much of it is just in that room.
Yeah.
But it isn't a movie. It isn't a movie about isolation. Like, we did the podcast about movies that are in isolation or whatever. It's not about that, but so much of the movie takes place in a room and you don't realize by the end of it that you're like, I just spent the last 90 minutes in some girl's bedroom.
Yeah.
Like,
And I think if you can go watch the BTS stuff of like what they built to levitate her, what they built for like the wardrobe moving, how they shot some of those silhouetted scenes, like it's all just so
what
cool.
they built to snap her, break her like sixth vertebrae
Yeah,
or whatever.
Oh my god, yeah, they like broke her back making that when they were flinging her back and forth.
Yeah.
But it's just such a cool film.
Yeah.
Exorcist is one of those movies where it's much like Paddington. It was sort of ruined for me by the time I saw it, because I remember the first time I tried watching it, I was a kid and we were like at a family's house and they're like, we're going to go downstairs and watch Exorcist. And my mom was like, no, you cannot watch that movie. And then so finally in high school, I watched it and I went, it's not so bad. Because I had other horror movies had already influenced me, or like I've already seen movies like Alien or slasher films where like I was sort of desensitized to violence at that point. And it was like it did have a creepy overtone, but like I think that same year I saw The Ring. So like it was sort of tough that it was like this movie was hyped to a point that by the time I saw, and that like that's obviously that's not the movie's fault, but that's one of those things where that movie resonates less with me because of the culture around it.
I actually had a very, very similar experience, Adam, where it's one of those movies that you hear about that'll terrify you, it'll ruin your life, it'll, make you a Satanist or whatever. And then when I saw it when I was in high school, I was like, oh, that's a great movie, but I don't understand why everyone said this was the most frightening thing ever created.
To me, it has.
I'm not arguing whether it's frightening or not, because Elise is right. It is a technical achievement, especially for the time and for the budget and everything else. And that spider crawl down the stairs, crazy. But I always want to know what happens after spider crawl. How'd they get her back upstairs?
The spider crawl's not in the original movie. I saw it when I was probably like somewhere between like 11 and 13 for the first time, and then I think when I was in high school, it got re-released for maybe the 25th or 30th anniversary. They really released it in theaters, and that's when they put the spider crawl down the stairs in, which doesn't look as good as a lot of the other effects in the movie. So I can see why you like wouldn't want that. It's unjarring, or it's jarring because of how, she does it. But there's other stuff where like there are things in that movie that are creepy and scary that aren't necessarily like a pop out scare or a gore scare, like spitting pea soup. It's like when she's speaking to the priest and she's speaking in like tongues and she's talking with him, she's possessed. And it's the other actress that like drank, she drank like whiskey and raw eggs to do the voice. And she chain smoked like to make that voice. That's like a true, story of, and rather than, using voice modulation, they took this poor woman and they had her consume all these things to make her voice sound really shitty to dub over Reagan. That's a really unnerving scene, and it's just a devil speaking through a little girl. And there's no, like, it's not even like lit weird. It's just close-ups back and forth between the two of them, her laughing. It's like, I don't know. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. I definitely would say that The Exorcist, I think this is a good matchup and a terrible matchup, because I think The Exorcist is for horror in a lot of ways what Apocalypse Now was for military movies. Like there had been plenty of scary movies that came out, but it was like Vincent Price going like, and the skeleton lives,
Yeah. Another thing I loved that it did was it showed the gradual effects of possession on a person's body. Like it wasn't like, oh, she woke up one day and all this stuff was happening. It was like over time, because this devil slowly overtook her. So over time, she was slowly starting to become sicker and sicker. She was doing more mutilation to herself, and they built that into like the character and the design of her and her horror, which I think is like super impressive way of telling that story.
As a parent, at what point do you cut your losses? Is it when her head does the 360? You're like, at some point, you're like, this is just damaged goods. I don't know if we're coming back from that. That skin is not going to heal.
That is kind of part of the movie, though, which is the thing, is it's like she might die. Like, if we did do this, she might die. And they're like, go for it.
Yeah. We have a choice.
Please do.
You should try. Yeah.
This is a tough one. This is really tough.
This is very tough. We did talk about Apocalypse Now in the previous episode in a lot of ways. But just to kind of reiterate, it is like the ultimate anti-war film, and kind of talking about Reagan's transformation, the descent into this war zone and everything, and the toll that it takes is it's
definitely a descent into madness. Like while you're watching the film, your brain does start to burn away a little bit as these things go on. And I don't know, it's a commentary about the insanity of film. You've got the general who napalms a beach just so his dudes can surf. They show up at that place later on in the film trying to find somebody in charge, and there's no one in charge. Everyone's just murdering each other. It's one of those 3-hour movies that I think touches on dozens of themes all over the range. There are parts of that movie that are horror. It is a horror movie. When the boat's slowly going down the river and there's people in those woods in that jungle, and they're coming at you at some point.
Both movies, I think, have the Blade Runner mark of shame going against them, since Apocalypse Now has Redux, which adds what is it the French family that the part they add, It adds like an additional.
They added a
15 minutes
good
or whatever.
45 minutes to that movie at one point.
Oh, yeah,
and then
yeah.
took it back again recently.
Yeah, it's the documentary. Also, that one I think we talked about before. Is it Hearts of Darkness?
Hearts of Darkness, yeah.
Great documentary that goes along with it. But then The Exorcist, Spider Crawl. You know,
That's what I call it. But I don't think that was them recutting it to be like, this makes the movie better.
I was saying in both cases, we can point to examples of how those scenes were added, and people were like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
As opposed to, say, Blade Runner,
think that was
which
just
people
more
were
to
like, "Thank God you fixed this
celebrate it.
trash."
well, Blade Runner they fixed though because they took things away.
There's a parallel between these movies, which is that I think they both inspire people to question. One is to maybe question your beliefs and your religion, and one is also to question your beliefs, maybe your ethics, in terms of like how you feel about war, or, imperialism. Really.
Well, the time for question is over. We have to vote.
Yeah.
Are you guys ready to do this? Because we got to keep
Yes.
moving.
We gotta
All
go.
right.
This is tough. I don't even know.
1 finger for The Exorcist, 2 fingers for Apocalypse Now. All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh my god.
Oh, really? I didn't think you were going to vote for The Exorcist.
Oh my God.
I thought all 3 of you were going to vote for
Oh my
Apocalypse
God.
Now, and I was like, I'll give the Exorcist.
Should we just
vote.
get
Just
Shane's-
vote for what you want. Stop voting politically. Just vote for what
We
you
should
want.
just get Shane's opinion on all of these matchups.
All right.
We need a
Shane.
camera, bud.
Shane. The Exorcist versus Apocalypse Now. We need to know.
The Exorcist, and I have seen it.
Okay.
Really?
All right, great.
Wow.
Hey,
All right.
thank you, Shane.
Thank you, Shane. Thank you. If anyone wants to write to Shane
Yeah.
about your complaints, his home address will be listed below.
All those huge Apocalypse Now super fans are going to come after him.
That's interesting how that should
Okay. All right. We got to keep going. Boy, this one.
Oh, no.
All right. Aliens versus City of God, aka Cidade de Deus.
Juju?
Our Portuguese-speaking friends.
Oh, you did actually take Portuguese for a little while, so that might
Yeah.
have been close, right?
That's exactly what it was.
City of
'Cause
God
the
is
D
one of those movies that has great scope to the story.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
It covers a great expanse of time and
Mm-hmm.
and characters and
Hugely epic. I mean, is that the only foreign movie on this entire list?
Your Name.
Oh,
Your
okay.
name was on
and
there.
Akira.
Akira.
Okay.
Moulin Rouge.
Never mind.
Australian.
Never mind.
Godfather, Italians.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess similar to Godfather, it's a gangster epic.
Yeah.
Maybe probably one of the least viewed movies on this whole list is my guess. But
Well,
for anyone
maybe
that hasn't seen City of God,
internationally most viewed.
yeah,
Like I don't. That might be our perception.
maybe so.
Yeah. I mean, it was a huge smash when it landed, because it was this Brazilian director who went on to do The Constant Gardener and then
Pretty much nothing else, which
nothing
is really
else,
sad.
really. But the movie is just fantastic.
Visually inventive, like the camera tricks. While not looking like crazy computer generated thing, I think it's visually very inventive with many shots that I think you kind of sit there and wonder how they achieved such a thing.
It's feels very genuine, probably because they cast a lot of
Actual
people
slum
from,
kids, right?
from that community, slums. Basically, they filmed in slums. It blows my mind because this movie shows people growing from very young to their early 20s, late teens, basically. But the casting is fantastic because when the characters grow up, you're like, that's them grown up. I mean, it's not, but it feels like Boyhood, where you're like, that must be them grown up, because how did you do that? And it makes me angry when other movies can't cast young versions of people better. But,
I'd say City of God also, it's up against Aliens, this extremely famous horror movie. I think City of God actually terrified me more than Aliens ever did, with just the violence that children perpetrate in that film.
I'm gonna get in here.
Some of the
We're
most
talking-
disturbing stuff I've ever seen.
we're talking Aliens,
Not Alien.
not Alien.
I would say Aliens may be more horror than Aliens.
Oh yeah, Aliens.
Yeah.
Aliens is.
It's more of an action movie.
Yeah.
Action horror. in a way.
I guess the point stands that the violence that some children do in that movie is some of the most terrifying stuff I've seen on cinema.
Yeah. It's definitely real. I think what makes Aliens so enjoyable for me is how unreal it is. We kind of touched on it when we talked about Mad Max, but this is a movie that begins and then never it basically gives you your rest period at the beginning. You're like, hey, we're palling around. I'll do more pull-ups than you, and like everything. And then they go pierce the clouds and then go and crash down on the planet. And then from that point, it never stops. There's some moments where there's like, we're gonna take a break, and they're like, let's take a 15-minute nap, and something happens. Like they only have time to say, hey, let's take a nap, and then there's an action sequence or a horror set piece or something like that. It just keeps going and keeps going. And I think the coolest thing it does is it expands and improves on, we talked about this with Terminator 2, it expands and improves on an already good movie in ways that you could have never possibly imagined expanding and improving.
It rotates the genre of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And it takes the lead and like talk about transformation. Her transformation from the beginning is like, I'm just pissed off because you put me in that situation to fuck it, I'm taking the reins of this whole thing and I'm going to burn it down.
Yeah, I'm climbing into a power loader. Mm-hmm. I'm not just in my underwear anymore.
Yeah.
And it also, like, to have, because in the first one, she's a little bit more of, like, your typical, like, female from a horror movie that's a little bit more of, like, the victim who's running. Like, the Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween, where it's like she's being tortured by something. But it transforms her into an action star in Aliens, which at the time there really weren't movies with women as action stars in that way.
Yeah, I agree. It was
cool.
It was Aliens and then Wonder Woman 1984, and that was it. Boy, it's tough. I also think like this in terms of kind of the Blade Runner side of like how it shaped the visual genre, the sound design. If you hear the gun from Aliens, you know it's the gun from Aliens, and it doesn't appear in anything else. And the colonial marine style, all these visual elements and stuff are completely synonymous with that movie.
Well, an entire character design, monster creature design, the facehugger.
Yeah, I mean,
and the alien itself.
Yeah. But like, I'm just saying, like, it's always impressive to me when someone's like, this is a James Cameron thing, probably because he's this crazy meticulous person, but like he's like, all right, let's get some guns on set, and then they'll like, here's the gun, and they fire it, and he's like, all right, I want to make sure it doesn't sound like any other gun that's ever existed ever before, and I only want my movie to use it. And you're like, I didn't realize how important that was in doing that. And all other movies that have regular gun sounds, I'm like, why?
Yeah, I'm gonna. He's a master of world building, which is crazier when you talk about Aliens, where it is already an established world. Where he said, "Well, I'm going to add on to it and add Paul Reiser." So that's pretty cool.
Also, going back to one of my criteria from last week, there were a lot of Aliens action figures, and I think that might help the argument for making it a more perfect film.
Because the action figures.
Because toys.
Because action figures is
it makes it a perfect movie. City of God action figures. You don't own Slum Kid number
Benny. I have my Benny. I have my Benny figure. He's got the open shirt with the Hawaiian flowers on it, and his changeable glasses. Comes with bleeding belly action. All right, I think we got to vote because we got to keep going. All right, guys, you ready? Mm-hmm. Aliens versus City of God. 1 finger for Aliens, 2 fingers for City of God. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay. That's 3. 3 for Aliens.
We
1
finally
for City
made a
of God.
decision.
Yeah.
Shane, you get a reprieve this round. All right. Baby. We still have 7 more showdowns to go.
We made through 4 of these in 40 minutes.
Close to about.
Told you we're not getting through.
We're gonna do it. Of course we're gonna do it.
Well, now we've talked about them all.
We've talked about them all. Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elise.
Oh.
Thank you for paying attention.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Yeah. All right. So let's just bang it out. We're gonna jump over to the West Coast, and we're gonna do Terminator 2 versus The Dark Knight. two of the greatest action movies ever made, going head to head.
Amazing chase scenes in both of these movies. Some of the most iconic.
Two impeccable films.
Well, also, two impossible sequels that both outdid
You're so right.
the previous one. Oh, God.
Two perfect sequels. Both
Damn
with
it.
action figures.
What if we just made Shane? We don't even vote. We just made Shane. Boy, that's tough. It's a thing. I wish I could be like, oh well, one does most of its action in computers and the other, but they're both practical.
I will say, I think across the board, if I have to find something better, across the board, The Dark Knight has better acting performances than Terminator 2.
Hey,
Okay.
yeah.
I would say Linda Hamilton. I love her. Not always the strongest actor.
I thought you were going to say Edward Furlong.
Well, yeah. I mean, and, of course, there's some like secondary characters. So
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I would definitely say if you put the two against each other, Terminator 2 looks more like a movie, right?
Sure.
Like a popcorn movie, whereas The Dark Knight feels like, an Oscar movie, right? If that for whatever that's worth. I'm not saying that makes
James
one better.
Cameron would like to have a word with you after he's done yelling at Catherine Bigelow on the phone. They've been divorced for 30 years.
Adam, what you feel?
He still screams at her.
Man, obviously I love me some Batman, but Terminator to me I think it's also one of those movies that I feel like it's smarter than, I think on the surface, it looks like a popcorn movie, but when you look at it, and this comes from James Cameron because he's insane, but just the world building that they do and the sort of what if scenario is set up for you is done so well by being encapsulated in a character that is this time traveling bodybuilder. It's ridiculous. I mean, he just Arnold driving in a car, laying out the timeline of what happens in the future of Skynet goes online, this happens. And you're just it draws you in, and that's just really good storytelling. Dark Knight is a perfect movie. It's fantastic, and I'm with you, Elise. There's some crazy good performances. It's the best Joker performance ever done. But God, I don't know. I have a soft spot for Terminator. It's tough.
Well, to your point too, I feel like The Dark Knight has almost a century of Batman to draw. It revolutionized Batman, but it has centuries worth of Batman to draw upon. Whereas Terminator 2 was here's this wacky sci-fi.
Dark Knight I don't know how useful this is, never made a film and will never make something as good as The Dark Knight, but The Dark Knight at the very least had a blueprint for what not to do.
Yeah.
Which can be valuable, I assume, just for whatever that's worth.
Wait, what do you mean by that, James? I'm sorry, I'm not following.
Well, there's
Batman
so much
Forever,
Batman that existed
Robin.
before The Dark Knight.
Oh, I see what you mean. There's a litany. There's a list of things to not ever try and do, and we can avoid all these pitfalls. I got you.
It feels like Terminator 2. James Cameron said, "I want to make the biggest action movie ever." By leaning into all of these action tropes and genres that came before, except it's going to be great and timeless.
And they're really, as far as I'm really thinking, I mean, there's Cloak and Dagger, but I can't think of many little boy and adult pairing action movies. Dabney Coleman, Cloak and Dagger, go see it.
It's not on. I don't see it on the list in here, but I could write it in.
You write it in.
But no, James made a really good point though. Terminator 2 came out around the time when the tropes were still being created, and James Cameron somehow saw those and navigated
Cloak and
that.
Dagger.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. He said, "Get the action in the little boy. Get the action in the little boy."
But the fact that he went, I'm going to take it. Also, I think it works societally too, where he went. Here's this guy who was the villain in the first one, and we're going to flip it and make him the good guy, except no one's going to know that. And then the marketing team said, sorry, what? And they ruined it in the trailer. But if you just showed those movies back to back and you had no idea what they were, it's pretty revolutionary at the time to do that. And then introduce, what's going to be the opposite? What's the antithesis of this, which is similar to the Joker and Batman. But the idea that this is a walking tank, let's make this sleek metal character that also requires the next generation of special effects.
Yeah.
And I think what encapsulates and makes that so, which basically just solidifies it as being so well done, is they've never been able to top that, because I think everyone sees it, the surface level of it, and every other Terminator after that's been like, well, what do we do now? Electronics. And it's like, that's not what it was. It wasn't like, what's the new gimmick? But that's what people take away from it, at least like from a creative standpoint. And it's like, it's something that could probably never be replicated, just because it was done so smartly at the time.
Iconic theme song, Terminator 2.
Iconic theme song. I don't even know how the Batman theme goes.
It is wild that is an action movie. You know, so you're talking about special effects when you're talking about action from 1991. And we're still talking about it as holding up against this movie that was made 15 years later. The spectacle, the action, that stuff is iconic. And I think, like James said, you've got a million versions of Batman to draw on. And Terminator 2 seemed to almost just scrap Terminator 1 and start again.
Well, I think we're ready to vote.
Yeah, we got to vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
What other smart things did James say?
All right. I know it's going to be a little confusing, but it's 1 finger for Terminator 2, 2 fingers for The Dark Knight.
Which is the second movie in the Nolan Batman trilogy.
So 1 for Terminator, 2 for Dark Knight, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God, Elise went for Dark Knight. Wow, Terminator.
I'm the Joker. I'm crazy.
Terminator 2.
Some of the effects don't hold up in Terminator 2.
Show me one.
Arnold's face.
Ooh.
The eye.
What? That's part
Anyway.
one.
When he
that's
gets
part
when
one.
he gets his head smashed by the thing, the crane.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I like when he goes. Who breathes like that? All right, okay, we got to keep moving.
Okay.
We got to keep moving, but before we get and close out these quarterfinals, I want you guys to hear a word from our sponsor, Bespoke Post. If your mailbox is anything like mine, 90% of the time, it's pretty depressing. It's a lot of political flyers, a lot of bills, a ton of coupons for places I've never been to and I'm never going to go to. But once a month, I do actually have a reason to be stoked, and that's because of my box of awesome from Bespoke Post. So what was in my box of awesome, you might ask? You didn't ask, but that's okay. I'll tell you. The sharpest knife I've ever seen in my entire life. I love to cook. I love to do chopping, chop veggies, chop meats, chop basically everything under the sun. And I didn't realize I was doing it with one arm tied behind my back. This knife is incredible. It's amazing. I can't believe that it just arrived at my doorstep. I'm very lucky. Bespoke Post sends guys only the best stuff every month, and no matter what you're into, whether it's cooking or survival exploration or making mixed drinks, honestly, I was just looking at some of the boxes available, and there's a tote bag that converts from it can hold suits and jackets, but then you can flip it inside out, and then it becomes a tote bag. You could use it for your gym stuff or basically whatever. It's just a super versatile product, and I was like, maybe that's what I need. But if you're not sure what you want, all you have to do to get started is take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right box of awesome for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box costs only $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside, and sometimes it's a really, really sharp knife. So, get 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter code FILMHOUSE, that's HAUS, at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com, code FILMHOUSE for 20% off your first box. So thank you to our sponsor. We are rounding the corner on this. We're going to finish it. As much as Adam hates to hear it, we're going to finish it right now. So let's keep moving on.
Blasphemy.
We got to jump right in. Godfather Part 2. Versus Moulin Rouge for a spot in the quarterfinals.
Let's vote.
Sometimes it takes 2 to get it right. Godfather Part 2 versus Moulin Rouge. A Shane pick, by the way, Moulin Rouge. So, okay. It's tough. I don't really...
Yeah.
The other one, it felt like we had things to discuss about the similarities, the differences.
Both.
I don't know.
These movies are so different.
Do you like music?
Scorsese has some music in there.
In what? In what movie? Scorsese isn't on this list.
You know?
He didn't make anything.
Oh, Coppola. Well, I think Scorsese talked to Coppola and he says have him play the fiddle in the background or whatever, because there's going to be a movie called Moulin Rouge that's going to come out 30 years from now. It might give you some heat. I'm going to vote.
You're going to vote?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Yeah,
I'm ready
straight to vote.
We're ready to vote? All right.
Get ready,
Okay.
Shane.
All right. 1 finger for Godfather Part 2. 2 fingers for Moulin Rouge.
So confusing.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. There it is.
Okay.
Unanimous.
I know
Unanimous
both
Godfather
of
Part
them
2.
have renditions of "Smells Like Teenage Spirit," but
Teenage spirit. You're like an old man.
All right.
Okay, Godfather Part 2. That's Moulin
we-
Rouge made it pretty far.
Did we make it to the final four?
No, we still have 2 more for the
2
final
more to
4.
go.
Oh,
All right. Okay. Blade Runner versus the Royal Tenenbaums.
Again,
They're too
different
similar.
genres, 2 different movies.
yeah,
Very different. Two very controlled films, I would say. Distinct
like
visual
obsessive.
styles.
Yeah.
Obsessive films. Yeah.
Meticulous.
Except we've
like-
established that Ridley Scott shoots his films the same way I eat cereal, which is reckless abandon.
I mean he's changed.
Anymore.
Yeah, he's changed a bit in the days. I don't know. Yeah, he's a lot different now. Now he has drones and
He was the
3D
first filmmaker
cameras.
to raise his hand and say, if you just got me more cameras, I could shoot this scene once and it would be done. And we could go home early.
I listen to the Royal Tenenbaums soundtrack all the time, still in my life.
Amazing
They're like
soundtrack.
20 years later. These days they come.
Do you listen
I,
to the Blade Runner soundtrack?
No.
I-
Oh, no, actually,
Vange-
that's not
Vangelis,
true.
come on,
If
man.
I rewatch Blade Runner once a year, and now I have to watch 2049 once a year.
I'll put the.
Because-
I think I have that in my like movie soundtrack that I'll just put on when I'm doing background stuff. Adam, what if you start rewatching Paddington 2 once a year?
Well, I mean, start watching it. You mean?
Yeah, you see it now because you have to. You have to.
Got to.
And then you
Okay.
go, this is a rewatchable. You might?
Yeah. I'm gonna try to watch it. I'm gonna try to watch it once and try to forget that you guys hype it up every time I see you.
You should. You love us, so you should love that.
Yeah.
Why don't you love them?
Okay, we got to talk about these movies. These are
I do
fresh on our
think
brain.
it's interesting the line that we immediately were talking about is how these are both kind of visually perfect, meticulous. Every little detail is precious and important to the directors of these films. I think that's an
Yeah.
interesting kind of byline to maybe judge them against.
I think Blade Runner had, in some ways, though, managed to influence a whole crop of other filmmakers, whereas Royal Tenenbaums only influenced Zach Braff.
I should just lose for that fact alone.
Wow.
It's not his fault, or I mean, Wes Anderson.
I
It's
would.
100%.
I would say that Royal Tenenbaums influenced Paddington too. If
I-
you look at stuff
yeah.
like the prison sequence,
Absolutely.
like that reeks of like
Yeah,
a Wes Anderson
right.
touch.
You always say the compartmentalization and the dollhouse effect of things. It's like, well, let's just spread this. Let's build the set so we can see things. As
Yeah,
opposed to
and I'm
not.
sure there was some Italian ingenue director that from buttfuck nowhere, Sicily, that Wes Anderson was like jizzing off to that he loved
yeah.
their style of, and he just completely like
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
Wes. Don't. I'm making these things as jokes. I love you, Wes.
Yeah.
Unless
Zach Braff,
this
we're
is
pretty indifferent towards, though.
yeah, unless this is being broadcast on a ham radio, he's not going to hear it.
A French station.
Should we vote?
I think we have to vote.
Yeah, we've talked about these a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck.
This is
Fuck.
tough.
All right. I wish we could keep track. Someone should go back and keep track of where everyone voted and where they not necessarily
No.
contradicted themselves, but had to come to a crossroads. All right. One
Don't let
finger
my
for
voting
Blade
record
Runner.
represent me.
1 finger for Blade Runner. 2 fingers for the Royal Tenenbaums on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, fuck. I can't even vote. What
Oh,
did I vote for?
It's 2 and 2. It's a
God
Shaner.
damn it.
This
It's
is
a
a
Shaner.
Shaner. Blade Runner versus Royal Tenenbaums. Shane. Shane. These are 2 of your picks.
You did this.
Royal Tenenbaums.
Oh shit!
runner.
Royal
Really?
Tenenbaums. It's in Royal Tenenbaums.
Wow.
Oh my
I think
god.
there's an interesting thing, and I think it's a bias that we all have inherently, which is that if a movie is comedic or it's light or it doesn't have, it's not a scaling epic, it loses points compared to like something like an Apocalypse Now, where it's like it's dark. Like, because people always seem to associate dark with serious and good.
Sure.
And that's a bias that happens in award shows now.
I found a list. It popped up yesterday, like an IO9 list, and it was like the worst endings to sci-fi and horror movies. And what they put on there, The Mist.
That's so great.
Because they were like, that's the thing, is like it's one of the better endings to like a Stephen King adaptation. And they said, I can't believe it. It made me feel so upset. And it's like, that doesn't make it a bad. God damn it! It's like when people go, that person is such a bad person in that movie, and I didn't like him. It's like, because they're doing their job. They're playing a bad guy, and I think people get that mixed up where they think because they don't like something that it means it's bad. Or you know what I mean? It makes you feel a certain way about something. And Blade Runner is slow and it has a certain feeling to it, but it's like, that to me means the movie is successfully doing what it set out to do, which is be like a futuristic noir film. But
which it does.
Before we move on, I need to throw out just for my justification for why I said the Royal Tenenbaums.
What's your
It has
problem?
boobs in it, and Blade Runner doesn't. So it was a
does.
simple.
Blade Runner has boobs.
Where?
In that changing room. Is that Daryl Hannah?
no, it's not Daryl Hannah. It's the other one.
The Snake Lady.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
Snake Lady. It's
Snake
when she's
Lady.
getting her hair done. Yeah, you see her boobs.
You see nipple?
Yeah.
Is that with theatrical?
There's the
That
VO
was
session.
added
He goes,
in.
Yeah, well, no, in the VO session, she's like, and I noticed she had breasts. Wow. And then you hear him changing the page of the magazine he was reading.
And the pages are stuck together.
All right. Well, I still stand by it.
That's fine.
Okay, we're moving on to The Exorcist versus Aliens.
Fuck.
This is tough. This is real tough. This is very tough.
And again, I think my point that I carry over is that people associate more serious movies, dramatic movies, with that's a good movie because that's a serious film. But Aliens, cheesy action to some extent.
Cheesy, sometimes a little Bill Paxton at some
That doesn't.
point, but then
What
they kill
I'm
him
saying
off.
is that shouldn't be a strike against it from being a good movie. I think this is the way that like the Academy Awards work, where it's like, we have to, a movie that's like amazing, even though it's a comedy, can't get the same kind of reception as a movie that's serious.
Yeah, I mean, but we do have Terminator 2.
We have Terminator 2
going
in there.
Uncontested, just dominating.
I'm
its
just
way,
saying,
so-
pointing out a bias that exists in this industry.
Yeah, but I think
Not in our.
in our
I
discussion,
think we're
immune.
defying it. In
Yeah,
our
we can see because we have
brackets.
Godfather 2, and then we have Royal Tenenbaums, and
Yeah.
we have Terminator 2.
I guess
so
I'm saying good for us.
we're doing a fantastic job. And
Yeah,
Shane,
here.
Pat on the back,
that.
Shane.
pat on the back. But we got to discuss this movie. So Exorcist versus Aliens. One is like the pinnacle of a genre, like the horror genre, and the other is transformed because I'm sure Alien kind of, you would put that more in the camp of The Exorcist. But imagine if there was a sequel to The Exorcist where it involved where it involved Reagan going around firing laser beams out of her hand, hunting the devil, and you loved it.
I would. Something I want to point out to everyone is that we are currently in a situation where Terminator 2 and Aliens might go head to head for the final spot.
James Cameron. I mean, I've always said he's a pretty perfect filmmaker. I've always felt that. His movies are immaculate. So,
What's he
whether
done
or not
recently?
they're- Whether or not they're great.
Didn't he?
Okay.
He's underwater right now. He's thinking of how to make
Yeah.
Avatar better.
He'll find out his placement on this list in about 6 months when he resurfaces and his body pressure equalizes.
This is so tough.
This is tough.
These are
Action,
very, very different
horror.
movies.
Action, horror. One, I feel like, set a tone that then influenced others, and one has a tone that hasn't been able to be recreated in a lot of cases.
Oof.
Such personalization. You guys,
Remember-
yep.
Remember when Newt didn't act anymore because I think James Cameron yelled at her?
She just didn't want to act, and then she ended up growing up and marrying the wild child from Road Warrior.
No.
What?
What
Yeah.
a
Perfect
pairing.
pairing. Yeah.
Newt and Wildchild married each other. You guys didn't hear about that? I think they sell plants. They sell plants or something in like
They
a
sell
nursery.
pot. They grow pot.
Pot
Probably.
is what it is.
I'm
Yeah,
it's
sorry.
It's a
a wild
plant.
guess.
Reagan also, that actress also didn't do much afterwards because she said that her
What's
spine
her
hurt.
name?
Linda Blair.
Linda Blair.
Linda Blair.
Yeah, I think
Where's-
that was a torturous experience for her.
Yeah.
Where's Bill Paxton been?
He's dead.
Dead.
Bad news.
Yeah.
Bill Paxton passed away. It was game over for him. All right, we got to vote. One finger for The Exorcist, two fingers for Aliens. Two fingers for Aliens.
Perfect film, not best film.
Perfect film. All right. On
Wait,
three.
which? Can you give me the fingers again, James?
One for Exorcist,
Okay.
two for Aliens. All right.
This one makes sense.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow, Aliens. Aliens,
Uh-oh.
3
Yeah.
to 1.
If
I
I had
love
more
it.
time,
Dun, dun,
I was
dun,
going to go
dun.
draw a dollar sign through an S the same way James Cameron did.
Wow.
Aliens is. I mean, we're comparing oranges and oranges here.
Right, we are. But they're very different flavored oranges. One's blood orange. Okay, we
If-
haven't
if we
reached
didn't
our
have-
final
if-
four.
If Aliens never happened, Michelle Rodriguez wouldn't have a career. I just want to throw that out there.
That's fair. That is fair.
You should have thrown that out there before the vote.
Yeah, you
would've-
should
But
say
we
something.
were all thinking it.
Isn't it weird how he had Vasquez in Aliens, but then he had Michelle Rodriguez in Avatar?
Because he thought they were the same person? Yes.
He's like, so good to be working with you again. She's like, ah. Okay. We have to keep going right now.
Oh.
It's the final four.
Final four, baby.
All right, we're coming around the bend on this. I apologize for the long podcast. Terminator 2 versus Godfather Part 2.
It's a bunch of 3 sequels in the finals here.
Weird.
Sometimes
That's-
you need a second chance to make it all right.
Yeah.
Didn't expect that.
It's natural when you're trying something new to have it be good but flawed.
Yeah, I would say of these four, Godfather 2 is the one I expected in this stage of the game.
I don't know. I mean, I feel like
I don't know.
As more time goes on, people they continue to appreciate Terminator 2 for what it did. But they're just such polar opposite movies. That's the tough part.
They
Yeah.
both got a 2 in the title.
We probably should have done like perfect horror movie, perfect action movie, perfect comedy.
and then all of the genres battle each other at the very
Yeah.
end in
Damn.
the same nonsensical way. Over the course of 25 podcasts, we will be breaking down. Okay, I mean, we've talked about a lot of these, not necessarily against each other. They both up the ante in incredible ways from the movies that they follow. But other than that, they're almost entirely different.
Yeah. I mean, I think Terminator 2, excuse me, maybe more to me epitomizes that this is a summer blockbuster. This is an action movie. You're supposed to go to a movie theater and sit down and eat popcorn and watch things explode in front of your face. And The Godfather's 2 is a much more ponderous. It's about the spirit of America and the American dream and what violence men can do. One is about seeing cool stuff happen, and the other one is more, I think, evaluating things about life and modern, or not modern America, but America from the previous century.
I mean, I think Terminator 2 is pretty cerebral in what it asks you to think about in terms of AI in the future and artificial intelligence and singularity and that kind of stuff. Like Adam sort of touched on that earlier, that it has all those deep sci-fi themes. But I think the movie like up front doesn't ask those questions in it necessarily beyond like, will Skynet kill us all? Like it asks you to ask those questions of yourself later.
She does write. She does write what No Fate or
But what
whatever.
we make.
And you were kind of knocking the acting in Terminator 2 earlier, and The Godfather Part 2 probably has 2 of the greatest actors of all time in the film.
Yeah.
3.
Not necessarily making it a more perfect film,
I mean,
but
James
maybe making
Caan
it a
shows
better
up
film.
at the end, but yeah, I mean,
3. Okay, 3.
Well, yeah, it's got an element going for it. That's pretty untouchable in that respect.
Yeah. I will say this, just, I don't know that it's necessarily a knock against Godfather 2, but it should be said. It doesn't have a scene where Edward Furlong plugs the thing into an ATM and then goes, easy money. And then goes to the arcade to play Afterbirth.
They went, easy money.
Oh, yeah. Maybe there's a point where he wraps a towel around the end of a pistol and it goes, easy money.
Easy money.
there is that part though where Fredo goes, "Now I know why you cry."
I know now why you cry.
Then he puts his thumb up as he's getting lowered into the lake.
Fredo. Okay,
Very similar.
are you
Very similar
Are you guys ready to vote?
Sure.
Let's do it, I guess.
They're just too different. They're too different.
Damn.
Yeah.
I know.
No, they both have 2s in them. They're the same. All right.
Okay.
One finger for Terminator 2. 2 fingers for Godfather Part 2. You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right. Hold on. I'm still
Come on.
I'm still thinking. Okay.
Come on.
All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, it's a tie.
Terminator 2 is so good, but Vito Corleone, Marlon Brando. I mean,
De Niro.
I can't.
Brando's not
I can't.
Yeah.
He's in it. He's in it.
Marlon
briefly.
Brando. You can't.
Well, either way, it doesn't matter. Now it's Shane's job. Terminator 2, Godfather Part 2, Shane.
Perfect film.
Perfect film.
Man, I love T2, but Godfather 2 is the better.
Okay.
Better.
It's the more perfect.
Oh,
Okay. All right. Godfather 2, Terminator 2 falls.
Can't believe it.
Wow. Judgment Day has come for the Terminator franchise, and it
Dun, 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 dun.
left wanting. All right. Well,
I
did you guys
make
do
that
at
noise
the
every
exact same
time.
time? You guys were in perfect sync with the Terminator theme when you did that.
Yeah. It happens. It's yeah.
Okay. We got to keep going. There's only 2 more battles left.
Oh.
We're doing the Royal Tenenbaums versus Aliens.
All right, let's vote.
Man.
I mean, are we ready to vote? Is there anything we need to say about these?
I think I am.
We've already talked about both those movies this hour, so I'm ready. I'm ready.
All right, let me just think. Give me just 2 seconds. To think.
All right.
Just to run it through my own head. Okay. All right. I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay.
Which are we?
What's what?
Royal Tenenbaums is 1 finger. Aliens is 2 fingers. You guys ready?
Oh yeah.
All right. On 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, aliens! Aliens!
I didn't expect both of the Willems brood to vote on the same thing. Wow.
You
Or
need
to vote
separate-
against Tenenbaums.
You need
Yeah.
to separate yourself from the movies that you love sometimes. And I love Aliens as well, but Royal Tenenbaums speaks to me on a truly
Yeah.
emotional level.
It's funny. I think T2 is the better Crazy Awesome sequel compared to Aliens. I know it doesn't matter. That's not where they
We'll
were
never
matched
know.
up, but
We'll never know, Dan.
Yeah, but
We'll never see.
Had Aliens gone up against Godfather 2, I would have still voted for Godfather. So
Yeah.
that's how basketball works, Dan. Welcome to the game.
Okay, we are here. It's the finals, guys. And so
who made
we
it?
only have 1 more to go. We have Godfather Part 2 versus Aliens. Perfect film. Never thought it was possible to narrow it down this specifically,
But we did it.
this accurately. But
we're getting closer to perfection.
we've done it.
Why wasn't Roadhouse on this list?
We also probably should have had a bye round because Terminator 2 technically had more victories than anyway.
Also kicking myself for not including a single
Double.
P.T. Anderson movie, which is
Double elimination.
Which
Yeah, I
one
know,
would you have
'cause
included?
Boogie Nights. I think
Yeah,
that's his.
Boogie Nights.
His
Boogie
best
Nights
movie.
or There Will Be Blood are like 2 of his most perfect movies.
Yep. I agree. But they're not on the list.
I know.
And if they're not
They're
on the
fools.
list, it means they're trash.
Drunk Love.
All right.
Love it.
Here we go. Godfather Part 2 versus Aliens. These are so, I mean, they're sequels again. I would say that Terminator 2, like Dan was saying about being a go to the movie theater, eat popcorn thing, Aliens is probably more that, but less that than Terminator 2. Acting, performance, arguably stronger than Terminator 2.
Can Shane just vote for me?
He's allowed to vote. He's allowed to vote yet. Okay. Are you guys ready? You guys ready?
I'm trying to think about a way to even compare these movies. They're so different.
I know.
Other than, I guess we could also call this bracket the the perfect sequel of all time. Also,
No,
It's what it's devolved into, yeah.
The ones that weren't just got eliminated.
yeah. I just think that's fascinating. Usually, people think of sequels as you return to something and beat the dead horse into the ground, and you've used up all your good ideas. But in both of these cases, the directors elevated themselves over the first effort.
Mm-hmm. You're right. I agree.
You're right, mostly.
Okay. Oh,
Godfather reference there for you.
yeah, I got it. All right. Are you guys ready to pick the perfect film objectively?
No.
Elise, are you ready? You
My
look a little
stomach
distraught.
hurts.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry. This is
It's
the
like
cost.
it's
There's a
trying
lot
to
of
separate-
ramifications from this choice.
It's trying to separate my head from my heart here.
I mean, sometimes it requires both.
Well, in this case, no.
Okay. One finger for Godfather Part 2, two fingers for Aliens. Perfect film. You guys ready?
No.
Okay. On 3.
Wait. What were the fingers again? I already forgot.
One finger for Godfather Part 2.
Okay, I got you.
Two fingers for Aliens.
Shit.
Hold on.
Right in the Matrix.
Let me just think. Okay. All right.
Jim Cotta.
On 3. 1, 2, 3. Oh, wow. Okay. Godfather Part 2. Shane spared. Godfather Part 2 takes it all. Aliens is trash. That's what you've indicated.
So, James, what made you go with Aliens? Because I was really waffling. What was making you lean that way? Because I know it's a real tough call. They're both amazing films.
I understand that Godfather Part 2 is fantastic. I think I have always thought that there's maybe it's a little unbalanced maybe between because it's essentially two stories, and anytime I watch it, I'm like, just get back to Robert De Niro, and then it'll go to Al Pacino, and he's like, I gotta get this casino up and running, and stuff. And I'm like less interested in that aspect. So I've always felt that in Godfather 2, it was unbalanced because I wasn't necessarily equally invested in both stories. I think they both have amazing payoff and reach great climaxes, but for whatever reason, I just have never been drawn to that side of it. Aliens is one story, but it is just a straight shot. And it's like a bullet. And again, like a lot of the things that I had thrown onto this list, Mad Max Fury Road, I think that's just something that appeals to me more. The ability to gather momentum, rocket it off, and then maintain that momentum just seems so impressive to me. I can't imagine that there's a better cut, of Aliens. I know there's an extended version.
There is, yeah. They got turrets in the hallway. It's pretty cool.
But I don't think it's better, is the thing. Kind of like the other ones that we've mentioned, I don't know that it's necessarily better. I think there's more. So if you already like it, you get more. But that movie is just like pace.
That's interesting because you also like movies with scope that take place over a long time.
Which I think is part of it. I love the Don Corleone story of Godfather Part 2. I love it. It's the other stuff that I'm like, I think like that's a good movie.
Yeah.
The other one is a perfect
You're more
movie.
of a veto man.
And yeah, I'm more of a veto man. And so those are just the things that informed my personal completely unbiased opinion.
brave.
And I'm okay. I'm perfectly. If Godfather 2 takes it, that's why I gathered this council of objective experts. And just for the record, Shane, what did you have here?
He left.
I was
He
actually
ran away.
I was actually going towards Alien. I love Godfather too, but
All right. Okay.
Wow.
the straight path in the story, and just the overall design of the whole film.
Yeah, I agree. But even if you had voted with me, it wouldn't have been enough. And that's why we have put all these fail safes in place. We got to the bottom of it. Godfather Part 2, it took us 2 podcasts to do it. I really like these bracket discussions, these bracket debates.
This is really fun.
Yeah. Maybe there's other categories. Thank you guys for watching and listening. Thank you to our sponsors this episode. Thank you to my guests, Elise, Adam, Dan, for joining me on this episode. If there's other things you want us to do a bracket showdown battle about, let us know.
Best Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
These brackets are fun, and I just like having the discussion. I don't feel like I'm debating with you guys about it. I feel like we all kind of collectively love all of these films, and also appreciate the silliness.
Definite kill your darling scenario.
Yeah, sometimes you have to, unless you're me, in which case I always voted with my heart.
Okay.
And yeah, never forget, Moulin Rouge made it further than Shawshank Redemption, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Fifth Element,
Monsters.
Shane.
yeah,
Shane.
I love it. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time on Filmhouse.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
12 comedians, 6 hours, 1 locked room. This is Last Laugh.